Hello, my name is Joseph jnyamwangem, and I'm an employee of EMC Corporation. I'm also a strong advocate and supporter of the Motherly Care Children's Home, a home that hosts over 120 different orphans in Kenya. The reason why I put this video project together is not just to talk about the challenges that these kids face, but it's also talk about their hopes and dreams and aspirations and what we can do to help support and help them complete the task that they have set in front of them. Hopefully, during this presentation, you'd see that the things we take for granted in life, the things such as food on the table or opening a book, are things that kids in East Africa, particularly in Kenya, thrive or wish they can get. So that's why I'm putting this video package together. It's to educate the world, particularly people here in America, in Massachusetts, and EMC, about the challenges that are being faced in different parts of the world. Second question. Well, here's how the Motherly Care Children's Home came about. Um, a couple of years back, a lady by the name of Mary Matoba um, decided to find a way to actually help orphans. She herself was an orphan, but someone gave her a chance to make something of herself. And now she feels that one of the things she must do is actually go out there and help orphans, and that's what she's done. She's done a phenomenal job. What started off with just about 5 kids and going through the processes to actually get the orphans has now grown to over 120 orphans, and that number continued rising. Now, unfortunately, they don't have the resources to house that many people, but she's doing what she can to do. And I think one of the best things about it is the fact that she's doing this voluntarily. Her staff, no one's getting paid. All donations, 100%, repeat 100% of the donations go strictly to supporting the kids and getting them books, food, and that to me is important. So that's how the Motherly Care Children's Home came about. Next question is, well, what is the story behind the uniforms? Well, when we first went to um, the orphanage, when I personally first went there, I saw students, people who wanted to be students. Um, oh, scratch that. What is the story behind the uniforms? In 2007, when I went to visit the orphanage for the first time, I had a conversation with one of the students, and they said, Joseph, we want to be like any other school, um, but we don't look like students. We don't feel like students. From that moment, I was inspired to start a program and mobilize people to do what we can to actually help these kids feel like students. And I figured one of the ways to start getting these kids to feel like students is to change their apparel. As opposed to wearing uh, raggedy jeans and ripped shirts, why not fundraise and do what we can to actually get these kids uniforms? So what I did was I mobilized, working closely with William Patterson University's Kenya Study Abroad program, to get the funds necessary to um, get these kids their uniform. And as a result, after a year of fundraising, we've managed to get every single student a new uniform. And as a result, now students feel like they have dignity, that they can be and compete with other schools, other public schools and private schools, that they can look like students. And that's how the uniform program came to be. And we're actually going to be in the process of getting them a new pair of uniforms so that they can be able to be as clean and as fresh as possible. Next question, specific stories. One of the stories that touched me the most was I spoke to a young kid named Tom who was 4 at the time. He was 4.5 years old. And he was sharing to me a story. He said, Joseph, I lost my mother, um, who died of AIDS, and my father was never in the picture. As a result, he had to raise his little sister, who at the time was only 2 years old. Here's a 4.5-year-old boy raising his little sister, having to pick food from the garbage just so she could support those two. When I heard that story, it almost brought me to tears. Um, 4-year-old here is in preschool. This is someone who needs to be taking care of himself, but yet he did it. And when he spoke to me, he was never in complaint or he wasn't disgusted in what life treated him, but he was happy that he still had life. And that brought me to the realization to look at life a little bit different, to be more appreciative of the little things that we do get. Um, that's a story that I'll cherish with me forever. Next question. You know, the funny thing is when the kids actually received their uniforms, they jumped. They were so excited. They were smiling. They were laughing. You know, it's funny. I grew up in Jersey City, and when the ruling came out that we had to wear uniforms, everyone was frustrated. They were disappointed. They didn't like the ruling. But here you see kids. Before school even started, these kids put their uniform on. And one kid told me and said, Joseph, I never want to take off my uniform because now I look dignified. I want to wear a uniform 7 days a week. And it's funny. I talked to Mary Matovin. She tells me some of these kids, as soon as they got out of the shower, they put the uniform right back on. Those are the kind of stories that made to me worthwhile why this made sense. Next question is what's happening in the orphanage. Um, well, here's what's happening now in the orphanage. Students are being taught basic courses like math, science, literature. These kids now know English. They're learning music, they're learning songs, they have different clubs. There's a drama club, acting club, there's kids who do acrobats, kids who like journalism. I mean, you have conversation with these kids, they have realistic aspirations. One wanted to be a president, another one wanted to be a scientist, a nurse, a doctor. So they're getting the fundamental teachings right now so they can compete to be able to go to a public high school. So that's what's happening right now in the orphanage. Next one. There's a quote that says, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one single step." When I think of that quote, it just put into perspective the ambitious goal that I've been trying to complete with the Motherly Care Children Home. When you think of the numbers that 90% of orphans are in Africa, it's a staggering number. And you start to ask yourself, well, where do you begin? What can you do? You're just one person. Then I'm also a strong believer that you know what? To the world, maybe one person. But to one person, I may be the world. That's why I got involved in Motherly Care Children Home, to do whatever I can to help and support these kids. Um, and it starts here. And I know viewers watching are probably wondering, well, you know, Joseph, there's so much you can do. There are many homeless people here in America. You're right, they are. But start somewhere, help somewhere. And what better way to help than an organization that takes 100% of your donation straight to the kids? There's no administration cost. There's no one who's going to get paid. There's no one who's going to pay the resources. They make sure that money goes 100% to these kids. That's what inspires me. That's what makes that quote, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one single step," a reality. Okay, next question. You know, it's funny. I had a conversation with one of the kids, and I was astonished by how smart they are. These kids were quoting Socrates, Aristotle. Um, and I was inspired by uh, how intelligent and how sharp they are. They have bold dreams. I mean, people here who settle for so low, um, you know, these are kids who are at a real low, but yet aim so high. And that's what money or dollars can do for these kids. It makes that dream become a reality. Because here's the fact: without a proper foundation, a lot of these kids end up becoming drug dealers in the street. They become prostitutes. Um, they become thieves and burglars. But every dollar that they can get, any item of dollar they can get, is going to help one kid not follow that track. A community event award for EMC Corporation, funding of anywhere up to $10,000, will stop several kids from going the wrong path. That's why we're pleading and we're asking from the bottom of our heart to do what we can to help this orphanage. They need the backing of a strong organization, a strong people like EMC. To sum it all up, this video is not about me. As a matter of fact, it was never about me. What this video is about doing whatever we can to get the right resources to help kids and motherly care children home. It's to give food to Tom, who used to raise his little sister. It's to help that boy who struggled in getting food, to give him a plate of food. To help an orphanage who doesn't have a consistent donor. So therefore they're pleading and they're praying for the next donors so that they can live and last another year longer. It's to help that girl, Angela, who was 16 years old, who was a prostitute before she came into the motherly care children home, who now wants to be a public servant and going helping other young people who suffer from prostitution. That's what this money can do. That's what an organization, particularly like EMC, can do. Can give money to where it's needed. It's to help those resources. So we're asking for your help. We're asking for you to reach out and do what you can to help these kids. They need it. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless the Motherly Care Children's Home.